Orphan 3 just got announced last week. Let's talk a little bit about it. All right, everybody, welcome to the second channel. I'm your host, Jack, as always, KillJoy Jack. That's what they call me over on the second page here. And we're looking at Bloody Disgusting's new article written by the wonderful Megan Navarro. Absolutely love her movie reviews over on this page. She wrote an article about Orphan 3, which has just been announced. It's pretty much been in the works since Orphan First Kill was so successful. It made a bunch of money in the theaters, which it wasn't even supposed to go to the theaters. It was also an unexpected hit as this prequel to a movie that everyone was like, this is going to be bad. This is going to be like the Pet Sematary prequel. Like, no one wants this. I don't know. It was actually pretty solid. It's got some pretty decent reviews over on Rotten Tomatoes, for instance. Like, it's got a 70% from critics, 77% from audiences. A lot of people really love this movie. Me personally, I was a big fan of it. I don't think it tops the original, which is this nice little... do I want to call it indie? I don't know about that. It's got some big stars in it, but it's got some great performances. I love that first one a lot. The sequel, or prequel, I should say, also good. I really enjoyed this movie. It's worth a watch. And the biggest thing I will say about director William Brent Bell is I just feel like he's this underdog of horror, man. I mean, he makes a lot of good movies, some bad ones too. I'm not gonna sugarcoat this, but you know, he made movies like The Boy, Orphan First Kill. I love both of these a lot. Both great movies. If you're a Scream fan, I think you'll love both of these as well. I know I got a lot of Scream people in the audience. I recommend both of those. I have not seen the sequel to The Boy. I have not heard good things though. But I have seen The Devil Inside, Separation, and Stay Alive. And I'm personally just not crazy about any of these. Biggest thing about these to me is they just feel undercooked. The Devil Inside is so slow. Not a whole lot happens in this. It is generic found footage at its best. Separation, generic Conjuring style, jump out and scare you kind of movie. Stay Alive just has too many problems. That's a whole other video, I would say. But what I will say about William Brent Bell, getting the negatives out, I think the guy's super underrated. The Boy is an excellent movie, and unfortunately gets like just kind of roped into the rest of his catalog, which I think some people would just say is schlock. I think that sucks because The Boy is fantastic, as well as Orphan First Kill, and I'm very excited to see him tackle Orphan 3, which is a movie we don't know if it's going to be a prequel to a prequel, something that was talked about. This is something that's been some rumblings that maybe Orphan 3 goes even farther back in time, which is something Brent Bell teases in this interview. That's probably what's going to happen, but they could do a sequel where Esther survives the end of the original. Spoilers for that 2009 film. If you haven't seen it already, it's 2023, ladies and gentlemen, about to be 2024. Get with it. Watch Orphan. It's a good movie. Sit down and watch it. Check it out. But yes, William Brent Bell, who did The Boy and Separation, you can skip Separation, stepped into the director's chair for Orphan First Kill, a prequel film that solidified Esther as this killer icon, which I would say, yeah, I would say she's there now. 2 movies that are pretty damn well regarded, killing it so far. 2 for 2, Esther. Isabel Fuhrman, who I have yet to praise yet, is fantastic in both movies, by the way, Orphan First Kill was such a difficult movie to make in 2022. They had to use like all these different like mirrors and like shooting tricks with the camera and stuff to make Isabel Fuhrman look more like a child. She's much older than when they filmed, you know, in 2009, when she literally was a child. Now she's like in her 20s. For me personally, I was really impressed by that. A quote from the director says, "We're developing a third one now. The franchise's rulebook has been opened up to where anything is possible. And knowing where we are in the process already, I'm extremely excited about the twists and turns that we have in store." Where could it go next? I was already kind of teasing the idea prequel to a prequel. Is this going to be a movie about before the events in Orphan First Kill? It would kind of go against what the title says. You know, it's Orphan First Kill. This would not, in fact, be the first kill if there was something else before that. But I wouldn't be against a movie that takes place beforehand. To kind of get the idea of like how Esther decided to start doing this. We already kind of see her in I'm going to pretend to be a little girl mode in Orphan First Kill. Maybe we can dive even deeper into that. Brent Bell also says in another quote that I think is really interesting is he's teasing like the new direction, and he says, now that we've gone another direction with the second one, the franchise's rulebook has been opened up to where anything is possible. That makes me think, once again, we're doing a prequel to a prequel, because he specifically says which direction that the second one went, which the second one was before the events of the first movie. Maybe this one is also before the events of 2. So we're working this franchise backwards. I think that would be really fun. I don't know too many franchises where every movie goes further back in time with each entry. This is a really interesting and new approach that I'm very excited to see. And another statistic here is that it made $12.2 million worldwide in theaters. Once again, it wasn't even supposed to go to theaters, and the film only hit a maximum of 557 theaters. Very, very low at the height of its run here in the United States. It should come as no surprise that the franchise would likely return. This was supposed to be a straight to streaming Paramount Plus release, and it's one of my favorite Paramount Plus movies. There's a lot of underrated ones. I think the Peacock originals are all across the board so bad, but there's some underrated Paramount Plus ones. Not Pet Sematary Bloodlines. Fuck that movie. That was such a waste of time. Movies like Orphan First Kill, the Paranormal Activity sequel that they made on there, these are not the best from the franchises. I would never say that at all. But they're a lot of fun, man. These were so worth my time, and so fun continuations that take these respective franchises that would have been otherwise just dead in the water down new paths and directions. Like Paranormal Activity Next of Kin is such a different take on that formula. It feels almost like a very long VHS segment opposed to a Paranormal Activity movie, which was like maybe the biggest criticism of the film, but it was still a lot of fun. It had a lot of really good scares and stuff, you know, if that's your thing. Some people don't like jump scares. I do. I vibe with that. There's some really good ones in there. Fun little creature design too. It was a little generic, but it was fun. It was cool. It took the franchise down a new route, and I really appreciated that. But Orphan First Kill, if you have not seen it, I recommend it. I have not spoiled anything about it yet, which is surprising. I usually do. Orphan First Kill is all about Esther's terrifying saga continues in this thrilling prequel to the original and shocking horror hit Orphan. After orchestrating a brilliant escape from an Estonian psychiatric facility, that opening scene's crazy, Esther travels to America by impersonating the missing daughter of a wealthy family. Yet an unexpected twist arises that pits her against a mother who will protect her family from the murderous child at any cost. It stars Julia Stiles in that mother role. It was Vera Farmiga in the original, and I just love the way that this piece of the article is worded, where it says, who do you want to see Esther battle next? So who's another MILF in Hollywood? Did I just say that? Wow, I really did just say that. Who's another attractive older lady in Hollywood that Esther could battle in a in a new movie? I was making the Saw comparison earlier about how these franchises are beloved and fun simply for the reason that they kind of fall into this like familiar format, but always taken down different paths. You know what you're getting into watching a Saw movie. You know what you should be getting into Orphan 3. I don't think they need to give us some like random like, oh fuck, you know, this is gonna be a character study on one of the random characters that we met at the beginning of the last film. We don't need that. That's you're diving too far into it. You know, there are some things that I simply just don't care about when it when it comes to these franchises. I want to see this creepy 30-something-year-old woman pretend to be a child and sneak into a family and just be fucking weird. And however you got to set that up, cool. If you want to say that she's still alive after the events of the original film, you want to make a sequel, I'm down for that too. Is it a stretch? Absolutely, it's a stretch. Nobody's saying that Orphan 3 is going to be grounded and make a bunch of sense. You know, I think that's another thing with a lot of these sequels. Some people read that headline, they're like, that's ridiculous, this is going to be awful. But it's like, are you looking for a movie that's going to be grounded from Orphan 3? I'm not. I'm going into this movie with like Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey expectations and hoping that I get something way better than that. And if I do, awesome. That's good. That's going to be great. If you look at this title and you just say, that's going to suck, well then yeah, it's going to suck in your brain. I went into Orphan First Kill thinking, cool, a prequel to one of my favorite thousands horror films. Let's see what this ends up being. And it was fun. It was worth my time. It had some really nice twists and turns, some really gross moments to it, and some things that felt familiar from that original film. And that's all I'm looking for in Orphan First Kill, Orphan 3, Forfin. If they make an Orphan 4, they got to call it Forfin. Come on. Forfin, Orphan in space. You know what I mean? Like, it's right there, ladies and gentlemen. But if I had to put my money down right now, if you had to, you know, gun to my head, what is this movie going to be? A prequel? A prequel to the prequel or a sequel to the original? I'm going with prequel of a prequel. Even though I think I would rather see a sequel, if I'm being honest. I think I would rather see a sequel at this point. She comes out of that frozen lake. How do you guys feel about Orphan 3, though, and a potential Orphan 4 titled Forfin in the future? I really need validation on this. I'm totally kidding. Anyway, how do you guys feel about Orphan 3, though? Leave me something about it in the comments. And thank you so much for checking out the second channel today. Peace out!